everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you're here, and welcome to another Makers with Heart video hop. This month, the Makers with Heart are featuring stamping techniques, and I have chosen the rock and roll technique. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to be using the stamp set called Crispair Scrapbooking, along with the autumnair Stampin' Thin Cut set. Okay, my papers are from Crispair, and then I'm going to use a piece of sapphire glitter paper as well. Okay, so I'm going to start out with white cardstock, and I've loaded all of these images from the stamp sets onto my blocks. And the first one I'm going to start out with is this maple leaf from autumnair, and I'm going to ink it up in Sundance ink. And then you just take your block and your stamp and you roll the edges around in the darker color. So you always start with the lighter color and clean off your stamp in between. So start with your lighter color and ink it up completely. So it's all covered in Sundance. And then I'm just rolling the edges in paprika. Okay. And then you stamp it down. And just make sure that you clean off your stamp in between. Okay, next one is this oak leaf, and I've got toffee and mocha. So I'm inking it up completely in toffee, and then I'm just rolling the edges in mocha. I'll clean it off, and we'll do it again. Ink it up completely, and then just roll the edges. Super easy technique. Just make sure you start with the lighter and then roll it in the darker. So this stamp, I'm pressing it down onto my block to make sure there aren't any air bubbles because it's a solid stamp. So to get a clean image, make sure there aren't any air bubbles. It's a little trick. Okay, I'm going to ink it up completely in peach, and then I'm going to roll the edges in desert rose. Okay. And then there's a center portion for this flower, so I'm going to ink it up completely in desert rose and roll the edges in scarlet. And then the middle bit for the flower, I'm going to just use mocha. So I'm layering all these inks together in one image. Okay, so now it's a smaller flower. I'm going to do the same thing, ink it up in peach, and then roll the edges in desert rose. And then for that center bit, I'm going to use Sundance. Just stamp that down, and then the very center, I'm going to use mocha. Okay, so now we've created flowers and leaves. And now I'm going to bring in a piece of pine. This is the light color of pine, the light side, and I'm going to use avocado and pine. So I'm going to ink this leaf up in avocado and then roll it in pine and stamp it down. It's very subtle and it's hard for the camera to pick it up, but it looks really cool in real life. Do the same thing with another one, and for the third leaf, ink it up completely in avocado and roll the edges in pine. Okay, so now I'm going to take everything off camera and die cut it all with the coordinating thin cuts, and then I'm going to cut out the word thankful in the sapphire glitter paper. Okay, so now I have all of my die cut images, and we can start to build our card. All right, so I have an A2 card. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I think I'm going to do landscape. So I'm going to cut this piece of Crispair at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that'll be my base. And I want a lot of it to show, so this next piece, also of Crispair in paprika, I started out by cutting it at 5 by 4 1/4, and I wanted a little more to show, so I'm going to trim off another 1/4 inch off of each side. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in a piece of white daisy and trim that down so there's a small border. of the paprika pattern paper. Okay. All right, so now we have our card base and our design here, and I'm just going to lay everything out on the card front. So this sapphire banner, it's the pattern paper, and I use the die that's part of the crispair scrapbooking collection to cut that with. And I'm just going to layer in all of my leaves and flowers, kind of get an idea, make sure everything fits. And before I start gluing things down, I'm going to take some sapphire ink, Sundance ink, and our new blending brushes, and ink it up and just blend a nice wash of Sundance on that white daisy. Okay, so now we'll just layer everything up with Tombow. Skip ahead here. And then we'll start putting all these elements down. We'll get that little banner down. And first I'm going to glue this sentiment that says thankful down so that I can work all of my other elements around it. Get that down. And then it's going to be a combination of both glue and foam tape for the rest. So I'm just going to layer all these different images in. And I'll keep the process in the video here. Sometimes it's good to see how everything layers together. And then I'm going to add some foam tape to my flowers, and I'm only adding a couple of pieces so that I can slide other images underneath these. And I'll still have room to slide things under. Put the flowers down, and then we'll add the leaves around. Once you get everything stamped out and cut out, it goes pretty quickly. Okay. So I'd like to remind you to click on the playlist at the end of this video. I'll list all of the other Makers with Heart videos, and you can see the other cool stamping techniques they've chosen. And for the last step for my card, I'm going to add some of these crispair dots. Scatter a few of those around. So I appreciate you watching. I'll make a list of all the supplies I use with links in the description below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And then you'll be able to find all of my videos. And don't forget to click on the playlist at the end of this video to see all the other cool things the Makers with Heart have done with their projects this month. Thanks for watching.